Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to The Big Question. We're discussing Islamic finance. Is it a way forward for Muslims in the UK, or is it merely a gimmick, a way in which non-Muslim so-called institutions that are Islamically financed, if you like, or based on Sharia compliance, can make a lot of money out of a Muslim community? That's the question this evening, and my guest is Samir Alamad, who is a Sharia compliance officer and product development manager at the Islamic Bank of Britain. Well, Samir, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Earlier we heard from Sheikh Yazdani, chairman of the London Fatwa Council, in relation to his views on Islamic banking, and he certainly provided a very different tangent to things, if you like. I suppose his view summed up that it just wasn't necessary. What's your take on that?
In fact, all due respect and my salam to Sheikh Yazdani. He's very well respected Sheikh. I think Sheikh Yazdani raised maybe three main points. The first one with regards to the Hanafi school ruling about there is no issue in the haram, making the haram halal in the non-Muslim country. In fact, this is the correct rule in the Hanafi school. However, it's out of context here in our subject in terms of Islamic finance. This rule implies, according to the Sheikh Yazdani, that there was no Islamic finance, there was no Islamic principles. So what we did, we took the conventional products or principles and we just tried to make it in Islamic way. That's not very accurate, because we have the Islamic principles. As we mentioned in the beginning of the show, Islamic finance principles were existed over 1400 years ago at the time of the Prophet. They used these principles, the mudaraba, the musharaka, the ijara, the wakala, all these principles, but they used it in a sort of community based. They didn't have at that time banks or the way it's organized now in terms of banking and banking products. But it's the normal way of growth and development. Now it's offered by Islamic banks in an organized way, a regulated way. There is a Sharia supervisory board or committee who will oversee the bank. This is an extra corporate governance and control for Islamic banks that conventional banks they don't have. There is a Sharia compliance officer or internal Sharia advisory for the bank to make sure that the operations of the bank, the products and services offered are all in line with Sharia. So this is very, very important point. However, it's also to relate on sort of, is it mimicking the conventional banking? We know in terms of banking formation or structure, conventional banks are more developed and well established.
Yes.
Islamic banking is relatively new to the market. So people get used, or they adopt their lifestyle according to the products offered by conventional banks in terms of current account, savings account, mortgages, and the life revolves around these products. So it was very challenging for Islamic banking or Islamic banks to offer the alternative for the Muslim customers and even for non-Muslim customers who are looking for ethical banking. So we can't come up with a very different product, alienate the product that are related to the customer's need and demands and their economic lifestyle or financial lifestyle. So it was essentially the first step or establishment for Islamic banking is to offer them alternatives for the conventional banks. So conventional banks merely based on interest-based, on interest, riba. So Islamic banks now offering the options for Islamic current account, Islamic savings account, which is based on mudaraba or wakala principle, where the bank will invest the money, the customer's deposits, in a Sharia compliant investment on the mudaraba principle or wakala principle to generate profit. Then the profit will be shared with the customer. So there is profit, there is the reward and risk are shared. So there is no fixed rate, there is no interest involved. The same thing for people who are looking to have their own properties or their own homes in a Sharia compliant way. Lots of people, they kept renting because they don't want to compromise their religion and take the conventional mortgage. But now, alhamdulillah, the Islamic alternative or the Islamic option is there. So it was very crucial and very important to meet the demand of the customers first on these essential financial products. Then we'll take it further to offer more financial products which meets the demand of the people.
Sure. So before you get to the third point that the Sheikh raised, one of our correspondents, Brother Mahdi, went to the streets of London, Edgware Road, I believe, in order to find out what members of the public thought of Islamic banking. I mean, is it a gimmick or is it a revolutionary way forward? Let's find out what he discovered.
When most people look at Islamic banking, they probably assume that it's a Sharia-compliant system. But the big question is it? While Islamic banking is truly seen as the way forward, however, in order for Islamic banking to be successful, it needs to gain support from the people around it. I went to the general Muslim public to see if Islamic banking has convinced them in supporting the Islamic way of finance.
To be honest, I've never been to an Islamic bank, but I think if they go according to the Islamic rules, it's very good to have an Islamic bank in this country.
Well, to me, it sounds okay. I wouldn't say bad and I wouldn't say good. It's okay.
Of course, yes. It will be great if we have more branch in here.
Well, it stops you from taking interest.
It's a normal banking, nothing changed than other banking, but they call it Islamic to attract the Islamic population around.
Well, I wouldn't say that about it, but still, to me, it's something the same because they still charge you for overdraft £30. They charge you when you withdraw money.
It can be. They can put people just to say, yeah, we're an Islamic bank, and they'll attract the Islamic society towards them to put their money and do their mortgages and everything with them.
I would like to improve Islamic banking on doing it in a real Islamic way, which, you know, they wouldn't charge you for silly things like if you withdraw from another bank, they charge you, overdraft, they charge you £30, the same as other banks.
So you have to see yourself and ask people what they want.
And welcome back. Samir, when you listen to those views, I mean, you know, there is this general consensus that, yes, you know, there's all these Arabic words being used and Sharia compliant this and this is this system and that's the other system, but it's no different to mainstream banking. All you've done is put an Islamic touch to it, threw in a few Arabic words, bit of history, but in essence your product is exactly the same.
In fact, I would say I was impressed because lots of them, they were mainly supporting Islamic banking, even if they didn't know exactly how it works.
But maybe because they just thought it was Islamic banking. Maybe that's why. Because this is the argument, isn't it? Because you call it Islamic banking, people think, oh, well, because it's Islamic banking, it must be good. But there is this group of individuals that say, hold on a second, when you actually analyse it, you know, all these little rent reviews, and then we look at the Bank of England base rate, and then we adjust the rent accordingly. I mean, it all sounds a bit suspicious, to say the least. I mean, would you say that's justified?
Who don't have